I'm Simon Jordan. You'll probably be familiar with me interviewing people with strong views.
But it's about time someone had a word with him about his vacuous opinions.
That's why myself, Troy Deeney, and the legend that is Graeme Southgate have joined forces with Mr. Simon Jordan to create Free Up Front, brought to you by William Hill.
This is a new show that tells it like it really is.
And it reaches in to all corners of the game we truly love.
Everything that matters to you is analysed through the eyes of a player,
A manager.
And an owner, as we tackle the biggest talking points in world football on Free Up Front.
So subscribe to the Upfront channel for new weekly episodes.
And don't forget to go back for some of my Upfront episodes. Not bad, if I do say so myself. We're on the cusp of Euro 2024, Gareth Southgate's fourth tournament. Fourth time lucky. A tournament that we go into as England, I say we, right, go into with high expectations, probably as the favourites for the first time for some time. We're going to discuss Euros 24 and what we'd like to see from the tournament, and more importantly, what we expect to see from England. Boys, nice to see you, Graeme. Joleon, nice to have somebody actually on the show that can talk about playing at international level, besides Graeme.
Oh, wow.
You can talk about
I thought you were leaving it on me very early
I
on.
was leaving it on Troy.
say, yeah.
Troy is being left on.
Oh,
absolutely.
Right.
Why don't we...
You know what it's about.
Yeah.
There's no surprises now.
No, he's not here to defend himself.
Don't ever think he's the good guy.
Yeah, it'll be me next week when I've gone.
Yeah,
I'll have some of that.
Absolutely. You know, you wouldn't want me as a witness for the defence, mate. Absolutely not. Right. Let's start the show very briefly, because that's how long it will take for you guys to participate in this competition with Scotland's chances.
Wow. Right. Well, I actually think we can... there isn't a harder game. Opening ceremony against the home
against
team.
The Germans, yeah.
Doesn't get any tougher. This has to be the best Hungary side in my time in football, because I can never remember them being in a major competition.
But also the worst Germany side in your lifetime.
Yeah, but they're at home. They're at home, aren't they? And we'll get to the worst Germany side. And of course, Switzerland. So I expect Scotland to have a difficult time. They can't take anyone on in a goal fest because they don't have a striker.
No.
Or strikers that can score lots of goals at this level. They got there because of McTominay's goals.
Yeah.
So they have to come up with a way of playing football, counter-attacking football, stay in the game. And could they finish second? Not beyond them. Could they finish third?
Most definitely, just won the Champions League with that striker.
Mm.
So maybe they've got a chance.
Right. How many of the job team are going to get in the Real Madrid team?
The left back.
Who, Andy Robertson?
Yeah. He could play.
Are you
for Real Madrid.
puzzled?
I'm not saying he's going to get in. He could play for Real Madrid.
You reckon? I mean, you're Liverpool.
Maybe not last season because he was injured a lot. But Prime, when he's fit, playing regular, he's as good as...
Right.
He's done a good job, Steve Clark, I think.
He is. He knows
he's done
what
a
he's
good
doing.
job.
I think he realised what he's working with very early on, and he gets the best out of him.
And cuts his cloth accordingly. I mean, I described it at the beginning as England going into the tournament as favourites. That's not because I want to do the media stuff and ramp up the pressure, turn up the gas so that you can whittle them down if it doesn't happen. But we are at a point now, aren't we, where you look at our group of players and the quality we've got. I know that we think the Portuguese are going to be a threat, right, because we're undermining
them.
Their squad is as strong as ours.
But do you think it's a fair evaluation for this England team to be going in as favourites?
Favourites probably not, because they haven't won anything, and you've got a squad, i.e. France, that have won tournaments. So on the basis of that, I would say they're favourites, but definitely like real contenders. Definitely they should be, and as an England fan and as a group of players, they should be believing they go in there to win.
I think they're favourites.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you alluded to it 2 minutes ago. It's not a strong Germany. It's not a strong Spain. It's not a strong Italy.
Yeah, but he's strong.
France, England were better than them when they let them off the lead.
I don't know.
In the World Cup.
Against France?
Yeah, in the semi-final. They were better than them in the second half. When they said, okay, then we're a goal down, we're going to take you on now.
Bet them after 20 minutes once we woke up and went, okay, we can have a go at these.
So I think the stars have aligned for England.
But again, there's an experience and a belief that comes with winning that France will have.
But what experience are you talking about?
Winning tournaments.
Do you think that really matters?
100%. 100%. You know that matters, Graeme. Even the Champions League final.
If you're a top player, you think you can enter every game and win every game you play in.
100%, yeah.
Are you saying it's not about know-how, Gray? I mean, the argument's constantly made.
But these players are winning games every week.
Right, domestically. But it's a
different eyes.
Because you wear a different shirt. I would argue that till I'm blue in the face. I think if you're a big player, you believe you can win every single game you go on. You put that strip on, you think, I've not won anything wearing this strip, so I'm not thinking the same.
100%. But there's different levels of pressure that come with different shirts.
Deal with it.
You played on the Scotland side in the 78 World Cup, right? You were
3
in that,
World Cups.
Okay, but let's start with the 78 World Cup, because in that side you had 3 world-class players.
The trump card.
Didn't you? You, Hansen and
No, the
Dalglish.
trump card is when he gets difficult. What I say is, get your medals on the table.
Yeah, we know.
And
We've done all
he
that
does
bit,
that
right?
because
And everyone
it's
yawns
like-
and goes, we've heard all that from you.
Yeah,
right?
it's just-
Right?
How
But
about
what I'm saying is, it's actually a serious point, right?
Yeah.
You had 3 world-class players in your team, in the Scotland team in 78, that were conditioned to winning. But when they played for their country, I know that there was other players in there that weren't at the same level. You played in games that Scotland could and should have done better in during that World Cup and didn't qualify. So there must be something in it.
100%.
I think football at this level, you know, the 3 World Cups I played, and people said, "Oh, they were a good team. You had so and so, so on." Yeah, with all due respect to the guys I played with, there was 3 or 4 that weren't up to any sort of great standard. And I think you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Well, that's fair.
In football, I think,
Right.
you know, if you're vulnerable in a particular area, you'll get found out when you're playing at the highest level.
This isn't the highest level, though.
They'll prey on that.
It's the biggest honour. The highest level is Champions League.
Do you think that?
100%. If you look at
So if you're a player today, would you rather win the Champions League than the Euros for England?
No, that's honour. The biggest honour was to play for England, but the best level of football is Champions League. Like, if you look at the Champions League players, probably 95%, 99% of them playing for their national team. Pickford doesn't play. None of the Chelsea boys play, so Cole Palmer hasn't played in the Champions League. Who else is there in the team? Luke Shaw, Man United players. They haven't played Champions League.
The vast majority of the players from all the countries playing in this Euros will be Champions League players.
Yeah, but all the Champions League players will play for their national team.
Yeah, but even a team that wins the Champions League, you know, like they're not the best in their position in that league.
I believe England are one of the favourites, 100%. So I don't think you have to consider the experience of winning a tournament.
Of course you do. But like anything, right? Like anything, you've got to go through the gears and get yourself into a situation where each step is an incremental one.
Yeah.
We've gone from a World Cup semi-final that we should have potentially won against the Croatians.
Euros we should have
won. A Euros against we should have won, and a French team that we should have beaten. Right, with due respect. And I know I'm being very binary, but I think there's fairness behind that. Right, so the next step,
that's facts.
I think they're facts, aren't they? So the next logical step is you take that step. And so by definition, I understand your point of view, but isn't it about mentality? You believe, Graeme, that we've got 3 of the best attacking players in world football.
I think what makes England very dangerous, the hardest thing to find in football is goal scorers. You know, the game changers, the ones who, you know, do the business at the top end. You know, you can be in a team that's playing really good football, but you don't have a goal scorer and you end up losing 1-0. Far better to have goal scorers and not be a great team, but these guys given half a chance will get you out the river. I think England are very, very strong up front. I think in midfield, they're strong.
Yeah.
At the back, I think he's undecided which is the best route. So I think England's strength is about going forward and causing problems for the opposition. And I just think with Gareth Southgate, he always has that pragmatic approach in midfield, where in the past he's used 2 sitting midfield players a great deal. Now, and I've been critical of that. I think, you know, when you're playing lesser teams, let them off the lead. And is it because you tell me you're a centre half? Does he think I've got to go with 2 central midfield players because I don't think I'm particularly good at that?
If you've just said that the weakest part, not the weak part of the team, but the weakest part is the defence.
So you want to
protect that. Like if you're, say, Holland.
So you think that's why he goes like for 2
potentially? Yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
But you don't want to see him doing that against Denmark and Slovenia and Serbia.
Oh yeah, I don't think he does. I don't think he does do that.
But he does
Macedonia.
I don't think he does do that this time because it's the different belief and players are going in there with different levels of confidence. Like Jude wasn't a 10 until he goes to Real Madrid.
But this is the question I wanted to ask you too, because I think the way you approach things in life, if you have a half-empty glass mentality, you'll achieve less. If you have a half-full glass, you'll achieve more. I think the mentality of Southgate is a key component of whether England can win this tournament or not, because the players are there. So what is the reality of being able to overcome the opposition, how you approach it? And Southgate's mentality to me, and I don't know what you guys think, is we've had
He was a centre half.
Does he manage like a centre half?
Well, I would say yes.
Granted, does he have, there's a question mark, say, over the tactical aspect of it, but in terms of the mentality he's created for the squad, I don't think they would have had as much trajectory with success if
So,
he
okay,
wasn't
so
the coach.
what mentality are you talking about? Harmony.
Belief in going to tournaments for a lot of games. Again, it's not about just belief when you get to a final because their 11 is as good as yours.
Did you think when England started against France in 2022, that the team started with belief? They sat there and looked at France and went, "Oh, it's France, it's France." And when they suddenly realised, actually, we can have a go at these.
But that does happen because
that's a mentality,
France,
isn't it?
But it is France. But then previously that could have lasted 70 minutes.
And Walker had Mbappe in his pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So that could have lasted 70 minutes, but the fact that he's there has meant, it's only lasted 20.
Do we think?
I think this team have not shown their full capability because they play with the
handbrake on.
Yes.
There's obviously games where you would say that.
You've accepted their strength as their forwards.
Yes, but also you've got to accept that when you are playing the lesser teams and you want it to be expansive, they're sitting behind. They're sitting deeper, so it's harder to break down.
Tell me this. Walking out of a dressing room, what was the last thing you heard from all the coaches you worked with? Make sure you start right.
Yeah, of course, but that doesn't mean you can start the same every game.
But you've got to start in a positive manner. And I think my criticism, what Simon was saying is...
okay, then we'll go to the Euro final. They scored after how long?
The England don't always start like that.
Yeah, but they did start in the biggest game of their recent history. They started exactly
They've still not won anything.
So there's always going to be an argument.
Fair point.
You're asking me for an example of them starting one. I'm giving you, and now they didn't win.
Point.
The fact is, they've not won anything.
Yeah.
Well, that's the argument. Well, that's the argument.
That's a fact. So, okay, let's ask ourselves the question, as a rich come from a Scotsman, if they had a more aggressive approach with instead of another holding midfield player, someone who's more creative, may they have won those two tournaments?
Hindsight.
You can answer it.
Hindsight,
what
maybe.
we can't talk about is...
But what they've got there, if they had that, who knows?
If they'd have got to where? I mean,
would they have got to the final?
I'll leave off. Yeah. Let's have this right while we have this moment to share. If we're going to talk about how you got to the finals in these tournaments, I don't think any England side in recent years has had a better set of draws against a weaker set of opposition. You already made the point that the Germans are the worst German side we've seen for some time. So we're going to use the Germans as the poster boys for what we beat.
I'm just saying, but your argument was
the strongest part of the team is the forwards. Are you accepting the strongest?
100%, yeah.
But why not make the most of that?
But they never come up short scoring. It's not like they're...
Well, they have, because they didn't win every game. They didn't win the Euros and they got beaten in the semi-final.
Quarters.
They're scoring goals.
But not enough to win tournaments.
Do we think, okay, if we think we've got the best players, then ultimately, surely it's about deploying them and getting on the front foot. And
this is one thing I will say. We haven't clearly got the best players at the Euros. Let's put that out there.
Oh, yeah?
We haven't got all the best players in all the best positions.
Yeah, you have three or four.
Go on, I'll debate this. This I will debate. Like, our midfield is great. Francis is great.
Right. You got an out-and-out goal scorer in Harry Kane. You got a Jude Bellingham will get goals from midfield, as he got 20-odd in Spain last year. So if you're looking for a goal-scoring midfield player, who's better than him? And I suggest the boy, your winger. I'm not sure.
Foden.
I don't think there's many better than him.
No, I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying it's out and out. It's just like it's facts. Like Camavinga and Tchouaméni play for Real Madrid. With Jude.
But we've already said that Real Madrid are not the best Real Madrid that we've ever
they've
seen.
Still got two international players.
We're not saying. I think when you go through the England team, and remember that the world watches the Premier League.
Yeah,
they will be looking up to these England players in this tournament. No one will want to play England because what England really do, they work their socks off. They're very well organised, and I just think they could be even more flamboyant and try and be a little bit more. Yeah, on the front foot in certain games.
Okay, given what we've seen over the last three tournaments, and given the fact that we, Graeme, ironically being a Scotsman, think that we've snatched defeat from the jaws of victory with opportunities, do we think they've evolved to such a point that we're now looking at a very different side that played in Qatar against the French with more confidence, more belief to approach this tournament?
Yeah, more experience, more games, more understanding, more confidence. Confidence is huge. Like coming into the back of the season, that just Jude and Phil have had Declan, the three midfielders. They'll be as confident as anyone in the tournament.
And they're a couple of years older.
Yeah.
People say, oh, that player's been brought on by that manager. No, he's not. When he got him, he was 20. He's now 22. He's 2 years older and he's going to get better until he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
So they are better players now than they were 2 years ago. And, of course, they got the experience.
Yeah.
Tournament football. I think they're going to do really, really well. Really well.
I think they're going to do really well.
Yeah.
And I hope. And again, that's what I think Gareth's brought is a genuine belief that we can. Like there's not, before it was a hope. And then
do you think Phil Foden needs anything from Gareth Southgate to make him feel he can win this tournament?
he does. Obviously, he needs to be selected.
He's in an environment where they feel they're going to win every single game of football they're playing.
Yeah, but it's not just about Phil Foden, is it?
That doesn't stop and start when you, like, Jude Bellingham will have that at 20 years old.
Yeah. There's other players that won't have that and won't be used to that. And not just that winning experience, but England, it's like, well, you may not know, but England is obviously different scrutiny for these players.
Do you think
it's
that
like people
bothers
are waiting them. Yeah, some of them it might. So
I think the modern player doesn't get any criticism.
Doesn't get any criticism.
No.
I think they can take criticism.
I think
They don't
Rashford,
get any
Saka
criticism.
and Sancho would beg a different from when they missed them pens.
What's stronger for it?
Not all of them. Sancho probably hasn't recovered from that.
I don't think there's any European team that would be confident about playing against England in this year's Euros.
France will. Of course they will.
What weakness?
Cole was playing Power League 18 months ago. Like still. You know what I mean? He just loves...
With his mates.
Yeah, he loves football.
Every other bugger, the French and the Spanish, built up in
Scottish.
tournaments, not the Scottish. Every other team built up, they got relative successes, and then the next one was a success.
Did I just say that? Can we edit that? Can we?
But we fundamentally concur with the view that these players are now better as a result of their experiences. I mean, we didn't see much of it against Brazil in the friendlies, but what can you take from those if you don't? They're not serious games. They're friendlies, right? But we believe fundamentally that the mentality of this group, we're not attributing much of it to Gareth Southgate.
No, let me tell you about international football, Simon.
Yeah.
You spend so little time with your group of players, it's hard to have an influence on them. I know that.
Influence what? Tactically? Or?
In every sense.
I don't know.
In every sense.
I don't know, because Capello had a negative impact on us.
In every sense. What
That's a fair observation.
Gareth has had an extremely...
He's created an environment that players want to play in.
No, an extremely fortunate situation because England, I believe, are from the best group of players they have had in my life in football.
Against the weakest international opposition at the same time.
And all the main footballing countries in Europe are not very strong at this time. That's why I think the favourites. See, it should be roundabout. I should be poo-pooing the thought of England winning a Euros. And you should be promoting them.
You've got to be balanced.
Should we change seats?
I'm just...
No, we've got to be balanced and equitable. I mean, if you were looking at England...
you don't want to play against them.
But how would you set... If you had an opposition side that was of a decent level, and I don't mean Scotland, how would you set up?
It's totally unnecessary.
Well, it's just factual, Graeme, and we know I like to wear facts.
We're a small little nation of less than 5 million.
Yeah.
You're 70 million plus. And
that's fine. And I accept that Iceland were the same and they did a thing to England, right? But the point is, I was going to ask you about setting up against England. What would you do if you had a decent side with a decent opportunity to...
A decent side doesn't beat England.
But if you were having to work with
Only the very best teams will beat England.
Okay. But what would you do to stop England then? Or would you expect England to stop themselves with their approach?
I think most teams will say we are going to be sitting deep against England. We will not take them up on an open,
is that what you'd do?
Expansive game.
Yeah, you'd have to approach it like teams do Man City.
But as you asked the question, a decent team, England won't lose to a decent team. They should never lose to a decent team. Only the very best teams out there. There's maybe a handful of teams could beat them on any given day. If it's a two-legged affair, you'd fancy England against anyone in the world right now. I don't think there's any European team that would be confident about playing against England in this year's Euros.
France will. Of course they will.
What weaknesses do you think they've got in England? If you've got to focus on a team's weaknesses, haven't you? If you believe that they're good, you don't focus on their strengths, you acknowledge them, but you focus on their weaknesses.
Well, depends on what back four he plays. They won't have their first choice.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a bit of a second string, not his first choice, back four. I think if you can break England's press and get to them, you might get some joy. But England are very strong. They're very strong. What about him, Cole Palmer?
Yeah.
I think he'll come on as a sub, and it'll be very hard to leave him out beyond that. I think he's on fire.
Once he plays, having worked with Cole, once he plays, he's going to play his way in.
Why did they sell him? I know there's reasons.
I don't think they just sold him. He wanted to go. They was happy to sell, and
but that's that.
Yeah, but also,
if he's
Cole
that
Palmer
good, but
he wasn't going to play at Man City the amount of time he's played for Chelsea.
Well, hold on a minute. We've last program we spoke about De Bruyne going.
Yeah.
So as a manager, you're looking how much life is left in him.
But he wasn't ever going to play as a 10 for Man City.
But He's
he was only going to play as a winger.
You're the manager of Man City, and you're looking at this boy and you think he is really special because he's up there with Foden, isn't he? In my opinion, what I've witnessed this year.
Yeah.
If that's his level, if he can repeat that season, he's up there. So if you're Man City's manager, if you're Pep, you're going to him, you wouldn't sell him because type of player, you don't come along.
Pep loved Cole
very often.
But Cole was at a point where he just wanted to play and he wasn't going to play. But why?
Why?
Why did they need to play Cole Palmer when they just won the treble and he wasn't playing?
Because you want to keep him at your football club because you know in a year's time or 6 months' time or 3 months' time he's going to be giving you the performances that he's done.
But you wouldn't, Graeme, have said that last season. You would have looked at Cole Palmer and looked at it and gone, okay, you've now got the benefit of hindsight.
Of course. But I have not worked with him every day. You've already said what a player he was. He was showing that at City as a young player. And we're getting slightly sidetracked. I just find it amazing when you've got that kind of talent and you've got De Bruyne and now 33, that when De Bruyne is 30...
You haven't got much wrong, have they, in terms of players letting go or signings? The work are very efficient and understand.
Well, they've had a really good period with that.
But we're not going off track because if we're talking about Cole Palmer and we think that Cole Palmer has a potential capability of being a match winner for us, I'm interested to understand what you work with him. You know the kid. You've just made an observation that Pep Guardiola has
got it wrong.
So,
I think every Man City supporter would say the same.
Well, yeah, based upon him being a shining light in a shit Chelsea team. Right?
Basically I'm scoring 20 goals. Basically I'm scoring 20 goals.
If that's his level of
20 goals.
If that's his level of performance, and you said that, what a player. So he's shown you that in training.
What I've seen of Cole this season hasn't surprised me. It's only surprised the nation because they didn't
have any visibility of him.
They didn't see the 21s tournament last year. Like I said, he came into our team. He didn't start.
What was his best position?
Wherever he can get on the ball. He needs to get on the ball. But, because again, he played as a six for us against Germany and ran the show. He just wants the ball. He just can't get bored because then he might do stuff that is just...
you want them near the opposition.
You want him anywhere. But you just say go and get on the ball.
What's his character like? Because I heard various rumours and a lot of people thought that he was going to be a bit of a problem when he went to London. There was... questions about whether he was a bit of a Jack the Lad and a little bit of a one. A little bit of a handful, a little bit having tickets.
He is a bit of a Jack the Lad.
No, but you want to get the balance right between, you always talk about you don't want, what is it, son-in-laws?
Son-in-laws,
yeah. Right. But the perception was that maybe he was a little bit of a scally and there might be a bit of a problem there if he comes to London. Yeah, he's been anything but that. Was that?
Again, I had chats with him. Yeah, completely. He's completely wrong because it hasn't happened. No. And it's probably easier to be that version of himself.
Was he like that in Manchester?
Yeah, because he's at home around his mates.
That's the problem.
Cole was playing Power League 18 months ago. Still. You know what I mean? He just loves...
With his mates?
Yeah, he loves football. And again, having chats with him of him going to Chelsea, he would very well document, I'm going on my own. My friends aren't coming. I'm going there because I'm going there to play football. So we just spoke about the things he may need and understanding that you may need a chef because you can't cook.
See, that's my story the same. My mum encouraged me to leave Scotland.
Yeah. So again,
giving up on your...
I'm not surprised by the way he's performed, but not just Cole. There's Curtis Jones performed outstanding. Anthony Gordon played the tournament as a number 9.
Well, in the 21s.
Yeah. So
what was your role in that?
I was one of the coaches.
So it's obviously your genius deciding.
Yeah, we won. He's the number 9. 6 games, and we didn't consider
Anthony Gordon, number 9.
I did it right.
So Cole Palmer's the real deal, right?
Oh, 100%.
And you're raving about him.
Yeah.
If you were picking the starting lineup, I don't know whether it's for the group stage games, which I think we should get through, but if you're picking a team to win a tournament in the big games, right, who are you picking as your 11?
Pickford. Pickford goes in goal.
He's got the shirt.
Yeah, I'll definitely pick Pickford.
You think he's a bum waiting to go off, don't you?
No, but I think he's good for England. I think I can understand that theory behind the Everton.
You're a centre half.
Yeah.
Every time someone gets a shot at your goal, you got a goalkeeper gesticulating, screaming at you. That's why you're in goal to save
100%. But I also, for England, I'm picking Pickford. I'm picking him.
He's got the shirt.
Yeah. Walker.
Yeah, all day.
Stones. I'd pick Mark Guehi.
Would you?
I think he's calm.
Pickford,
Airily.
Walker, Shaw.
Airily.
Is Shaw fit?
He's good.
Is Shaw now declared himself fit?
Well, imagine that he is, yeah. So I'm going Shaw.
I'm with you so far. I've no objections to that.
And then my midfield would be Declan, Jude, Phil Foden. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
Yeah,
So
I'm just
far?
not sure what system we're going with. This.
I'm going 6 or holding, Declan
holding.
8, just advanced, and then higher would be Phil. Jude does,
And then your front three
does
then.
it all, and then I'll go Harry Kane, Cole Palmer, and Bukayo Saka.
But he's getting away from the 2 holding midfield players in that selection.
So do you?
Unless
do you
he
like
picks
that
Trent?
selection?
Yeah. I thought. See,
So if you were England manager, would you pick that?
See, when you're going, when you talk about 2 holding midfield players, all the lads are as fit as fleas today. And I'm sure that Phil Foden, if you were saying to him, look, I want you running back, just get
100%.
goal side.
Yeah.
He's up for that. He's up for every challenge you put in front of him. I think Bellingham will do that as well because he's got so much power and energy. I wouldn't be against that team. But I think if what we've seen from Cole Palmer for the last 9 months, if that's his level of performance, he'll come on as a sub and early in the tournament, and he'll take some dislodging.
Yeah.
That's what I think will happen
agree.
in that system.
Because he definitely has the mentality of, I'm one to stay in a team.
You know, but I'm really taken with it.
Yeah.
Right, so we've gone through the dynamics of what we think of England. We've gone through a team selection. I want to drill down on Southgate's. There is a perception, and I think it's a justified perception, that sometimes he's not as tactically astute as some of the elite coaches. I think Mancini showed him up in the Italian team when England were in front. But he has presided over a very harmonious England camp, and there's a lot more positives about what England are doing now. Even the media are on side. What's our overall assessment of Southgate?
What you've said, I think he's been very positive for England football. Like I said, there's a genuine belief that there's England fans now. I thought when I played, it was like you had your players like Stevie and Wayne and Frank Lampard and all that, and I think the fans were fans of them players. If you were a fan of Liverpool or Chelsea or United, but now I think there's a connection between every fan. I think they want England to do well. I don't think Liverpool fans anymore want their player to be the best player.
It's easy to be harmonious and a feel-good factor when you win in games in England.
Yeah, but you have to win them.
Yeah.
So it's
understandable why
they've had
that
a better
feeling
group
exists.
of players before this, and someone wasn't able to create what this feels like
But
now.
it's understandable why there's a good feeling about them.
Yeah.
Deservedly so. Because the public are not idiots. They realise this is a team that's got a real chance of winning this tournament.
But they've had that team before. That's what I'm saying. If you're talking about Southgate, they've had that level of, like, in right now.
But you look at the age group now, they're just ready now.
Yeah, but none of them are, say...
But he's managed the media very well, Southgate.
Yeah.
Because when he came
It's easy when you're winning, Simon.
No, but hang on. When
He's built a connection.
I
He's
tell you what,
built
he
a
had an
connection.
advantage
When
as well.
you're
Because
winning.
when he came in 2016, the expectation of England was so low, right? The media had given up. As opposed to telling everyone that England should win the World Cup or the European Championships, and everyone singing it's coming home, the media were like, fuck it, we give up. We're not going to give you any expectations. So he's had a period of time of grace, and he's got a lot of credit. And I like him. I don't think he's a dyed-in-the-wool winner, and I'm not sure. I think the difference between us winning this tournament is decisions that will come at key moments. And I don't mean, if we lose players, if a key player gets injured, that's not something you can't legislate for, right? But I think when it comes to the moments in games, Southgate will be the defining point. But he gets a lot of credit, and a lot of people think that he's done a very good job. But I'd like to understand if he's the only person that deserves the credit for the framework of that England now has, which seems to be a very positive base. St George's works very well.
No, Dan Ashworth started that process years ago. John McDermott's done that now. I think there's a lot of... It's like any club, if you're talking about it as a club, so many factors and so many people responsible for the success and failure. But
what does John McDermott do?
He's technical director.
Okay.
So he creates and understands who to put in each role and allows them to do their job. What
does a technical director do at international level?
So understanding the criteria when selecting, like selecting, obviously he does it at every age group as well. It's not just the seniors.
Right.
So he's involved in the 21. So he spent the whole time at our tournament understanding the process of who we selected, why we selected them, the way we was going to play, but allowing Lee Carsley or Gareth Southgate to manage the team in the way that's best for them. Like, it's not a case of this is the only model we have for all the England coaches and this is the way you have to coach. It's not like that. It's like, well, for a 16-year-old lad and a 16-year-old group of lads, it needs to be a different mentality. They need to understand that concentration is probably going to be a lot harder to maintain for everyone. But then when you get to the seniors, it's obviously, again, totally different. So he manages the coaches. He doesn't get involved in the players. But I don't know how it works at a club, and every club is different.
I think it's far simpler than that. I think as a nation, they've produced a group of kids who are young men, who are men, that are, their time is now. And you talk about, but where do the plaudits go? Is it the guy who scouted your man at Man City, Phil Foden?
Okay, yeah.
Who's taking the credit from him? Is that the English?
No. Phil's one of the few.
They're all, the credit should lie
with the player,
with the football club, the player first, the player, the capability to listen and learn and be determined to be successful. And then it comes into an international squad, and I come back to there is so little time for the manager to influence that group of players. Right now, England have produced a group of players that they're that good. You give them little directives. You're not going to change them as players. You give them little directives to play in a particular game.
Well, the question is, ultimately, if we're talking about players that come in and they don't make any difference to which shirt they're playing in because they pick it up, they're the best in class.
Like Steven Gerrard, the best. But he wasn't England's best for as long as he was Liverpool's best. Wayne Rooney was. There's probably only Ashley Cole I would look at and say, you were as good for England as you was for Chelsea. Other players, they just didn't for whatever reason. And again, who knows the reason for that?
You couldn't get a midfield out of Scholes, Lampard and Steven Gerrard.
There you go. So the manager has to take credit.
But he didn't.
But he shouldn't.
Ericsson didn't get
exactly.
Didn't get
So we shouldn't take credit. But if we are getting the best out of Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice, then Southgate has to take credit for it. You can't blame someone for not creating a system for the previous generation, but then creating a system for this one.
You're picking a player because what you see most Saturdays, Sunday afternoons in the Premier League. And when you bring them into the international squad, you just say, I'll pick you because of you've done this and done that. I'm not going to change you. They don't look to change. They might actually tweak their position a little bit, but you're not going to.
You might have to.
You're not going to play Phil Foden as a left back. You're going to be a different variation of wherever he is up the park. Yeah, but tuck in when we haven't got the ball, or drop back and give your fullback cover, whatever position he's playing. These are small changes to a guy that's steeped in how Pep has coached them.
Yeah.
I personally think, and I don't know what you two boys think, I think the difference between England winning this tournament and not winning this tournament is Southgate's.
You're on about substitutions at key moments.
I am on about the changing of the opportunity when something goes for you or against you, and those key decisions which big managers seem to make. Mancini saw the challenge, changed it.
There's a lot of luck as well involved.
100%. But going back to that point, Mancini changed it. They were losing, he changed it.
Yeah, because he had to.
And he had to. But earlier you said, England got back into the game when they went level. So that means Southgate must have changed something.
What I said was, and what my point was, and if I didn't make it clear, was England were 1-0 up, and the whole nation is watching this game going, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming. Oh, it's come. They've scored, and now we're changing it. And so I look at that and go, if I, as a relative layman, can sit there and watch England and watch the challenge and see it, why isn't the manager able to change it? Why didn't we load up and really put our foot down and stamp on the French?
I don't think you load up. You don't, if you're bossing the game.
But we were.
If you're bossing the game, you're not going to go and load up, because at 1-1 you're thinking, they will get a chance. I mean, you might say, we'll take him off and replace him like for like with a bit more energy.
Okay,
and someone's on.
My expressions are a little bit too.
It's semantics. You're right in your basic thinking.
So well, thank you. They're not going to hear that very often on the show from Souness, are we?
Oh, did I just say that? Can we edit that? Can we?
Do you think? I mean, all things being equal, do you think he's got to? I mean, we're going back to Southgate. Do you think he's got to win this tournament?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Don't be such a snivelling cow because you're in the FA framework.
No, I'm not in there. I'm not in the framework. I'm not an employee of the FA. But I'm
you're
saying
under 21
he doesn't. No, I was. I don't do that anymore.
You said he'd leave here with creosote on his arse.
Yeah, I did a little bit, yeah.
He what, sorry?
I said you'd leave with creosote on your arse.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, I don't think...
Good try. You nearly got me there. Yeah. No, listen, I don't think...
Do you think you don't think he has to win it to keep his job?
No. Not to keep his job. I don't think they sack him if... No.
Do you think he'll leave if he wins the tournament? Because he get lots of good offers.
Yeah, I think... I don't... Yeah.
He would.
I don't know now because...
Not for next year. But
I'm about to say, because if he left now...
All the jobs have gone.
Yeah. So I don't think he leaves after that.
If he gets to this fourth tournament, doesn't win, every other bugger, the French and the Spanish, built up in tournaments, not the Scottish. Every other team built up. They got relative successes, and then the next one was a success. The French did it. The Spanish did it. We've now been in a World Cup semi-final. We've been to a European Championship final. We've been to the quarters in the World Cup and probably should have won that game against the French. We've never beaten, in my view, anybody that we potentially have a 50-50 game on. We've always beaten someone that we should have beaten. And when it comes up against somebody that we may be, we don't get a result. And they're not going to, you know as well as I do, because you said it yourself, this German team have been poor, right? Do we look at it and say, if Southgate doesn't win this tournament, that we see his tenure as a success? And
No, I never said it's a definite success. It's not a failure. It doesn't have to be just one or the other.
You know what, that job's all, historically it's been the job that
it's a poison chalice.
You get so much stick when it goes wrong. I think he would get a lot of stick if he doesn't win it this year, and I think he would say, "I've done my bit."
I don't know about that. I don't know if
think he'd weather that storm.
Yeah, I don't think. Again, if they go out in the quarterfinals,
I don't think he'd want to be around because I think he'd get a lot of stick.
Yeah, then there's criticism coming, and probably rightly so, to get to the quarterfinals. But if you lose in the final, that can't be a failure.
We've got to the point now where we looked at the team, we looked at the selection, we looked at Southgate, and I wanted to pick up. I kind of let it drop, and I'm going to pick it up now because we're talking about the coach. You dropped in, you sort of rolled your eyes about Capello and the experiences, because a lot's being made about Southgate and harmony, and a lot was made, and John Terry mentioned about Capello as well. So I'm really interested to hear what your experiences of Capello were, because he seems to have got culturally a lot wrong in dealing with you guys.
I think he brought an Italian mentality of being away.
Retiro.
Is in like a prison kind of regiment, and so much structure. There was no freedom. Like, a simple thing was you wasn't allowed to wear shorts. You had to wear full tracksuit in the hotel, which might seem a little thing, but you want to be relaxed. You want to be a point of time when I can come down to dinner. The dinner is like 7 to 8, like hours, but hour 7 till 8 o'clock. And I'm thinking, well, I can come down at 7:30 and just have the last half an hour. No, it was like, be there for 7, you sit there till 8. I'm like...
Did you have to ask the captain to leave the table?
Yeah, literally. Really? Yeah, we had to do that.
That's a very Italian thing.
Yeah, and I think there was so many things that he didn't consider that were not ingrained in us. And it just became not a toxic environment, but you wanted to go and play for England and never turn that down, but it wasn't the environment you wanted to stay in, where I think now that is the environment. And also, I knew, not that I should have started, because it was JT and Rio predominantly, but I knew I was never going to start. Where this group of players go in now, and there's a belief that you can get into the team.
Right.
Like we're saying now, Cole Palmer comes on a sub, he may start. That would never be the case.
What do you think to that? I mean, do you think that Capello was wrong? Or is it a case of every now and again players have got to do as they're told?
But he was taking it. He was bringing an Italian culture to Anglo-Saxon football team, and it is very different. Like, none of that would be a problem in Italy.
100%.
None of it. It would just be, that's quite normal.
And so some of us, it was normal because we had Mancini.
Yeah.
And that's what it was like at the start. And then it gets to the point where Mancini's realising, this is not working, because not everyone's Italian. And there are some Spanish that want to eat certain things and want to relax. But when they're the best players, he was allowing them to do it, which had then allowed Mancini to change the culture and change things, where Capello was like, no, we only do this, we only eat that, we do. Maybe the structure was so regimented, it was like, this isn't an enjoyable environment, Graeme, for people that wasn't playing.
Yeah. Was there not a player group went to speak with him?
Yeah. And he went mad. I remember JT went to see him. We had an afternoon off, and we wanted to go to the cinema. He was like, no, next time you'll be asking to go to the disco. I'm like, no, I just want to go to the cinema.
He's probably right.
It's like, why can't we
He's probably bloody right, because, it is a liberty-taking culture, football, isn't it? You start with something and you build it up and build it up and build it up and build it up.
Next thing you know, what players you worked with.
No comment.
Right, last word. Yes or no answers. No fiddling about. Okay. England win the Euros?
Yes.
Hope so.
Right, that's it. That's a unanimous decision from 3 of us, even one of them being a Scotsman. Euros 2024. Here we go.
This has been 3 Up Front, brought to you by William Hill.
Subscribe to the channel for weekly episodes.
And don't forget to go back for some of my upfront episodes. Not bad, if I do say so myself.
18 plus, please gamble responsibly.